G'day, and welcome back to Adaptive Pursuits. This is the second part in the three-part series I sort of started making last week. In this part two, I'm going to be talking about after I was brought in from the accident that night. I don't remember anything of this. Most of this is just from what I've been told and some vague memories about what I experienced. So I was brought in to hospital by the ambulance. I think I arrived around 3 a.m. in the morning on a Sunday morning. I think that would have been, I think that was the 17th of July, 1988. They were saying I was able to move my body and my right arm and leg slightly. So I was in the induced coma and kept in intensive care for, I think, 28 to 48 hours. I had the operation they had took 6 hours, and they had doctors rotating on my brain just to my head, to reconstruct the bone fragments that had been lodged into parts of my brain, mainly the motor skills of my brain. On this side here, you can feel it was sort of indented from about this sort of space, about this wide, and all there was, you could feel the fragments of bone and how they pieced them back together. I remember vague memories of going through a tunnel that joined the two buildings of the Austin Hospital together, because back in the day it was completely different to what it was or what it is now. There were two separate buildings and they're sort of joined by a tunnel that the nurses and doctors used to take patients to and fro from so they can go between the buildings. And down in that tunnel they had an x-ray. So whether this is true or not, I'm not entirely sure. This is my memory of the events in that place. I remember the x-ray room being down in this tunnel. When I say tunnel, I'm saying like a hallway that was underground that connected the two buildings together. So I remember having x-rays down there, and I remember being taken from an operating table, from my trolley that they wheeled me down there on and put onto the x-ray machine bed when I took the x-rays, the extent of what I can remember regarding the x-rays. I know my family used to come in and see me. For a time there, I was in a state called PTA, or post-trauma amnesia, and that's a state where I'm conscious but I'm not actively aware of my surroundings. Hospital, there are two separate memories I have of being in hospital that have stuck, and that is the first one. Every night I thought that the nurses came in, put me on a wheel bed that they wheel around the place, and they would wheel me out of my ward and into a glass elevator. And then the glass elevator would take me up a number of floors, push me out of the glass elevator and into a room. And the room had glass walls. And from this room, I could remember looking out the windows or looking through the walls and being able to see over Heidelberg, which is where the Austin Hospital is located. And so they would do this every night, according to my memory. But I didn't actually do that. I just stayed in my same ward where I spent most of my time resting. So at the time of my accident, I was a salesman selling beds for a company called The Bed Shed, which were located Main Street, Greensboro. It was all about beds. I remember a time that I had this dream, and the dream was that I was sleeping at the business location, and I was there sleeping the night testing a bed. We had a break-in, and there were some robbers in the place stealing some beds. So I was trying to get the attention of the police and the nurses for some reason. I mean, why nurses would have been at the business, I have no idea, but it's a dream. And they happened to be in the Bed Shed building at the time. So I was trying to get the attention of the nurses, and I remember calling out to the bloke opposite me who also had a head injury. He was an abseiler who had fallen a number of stories and smacked his head on the ground. He was pretty out of it, so he didn't do anything. He was just, I thought, well, it's up to me to get out of bed and go out and get a policeman. On these beds, they had these bedside fences, so you couldn't accidentally roll out of bed. I thought, well, I've got to go and get the police because we're being robbed. So I remember putting my good leg over the fence, and then I was somehow I got my right leg over the fence as well, which was paralyzed. And then without realizing it, I just fell out of bed, and that was it. At some point of the night, I was found on the floor and put back into bed, but I can't remember any of that part of it. But those two stories have stayed with me for 35 odd years or whatever. I think 30 odd years, 35 years. And so it was quite an experience in hospital. Another thing about being in hospital, I remember the doctor came up one day and he was talking to me, just talking about what had happened to me, my head injury, my arm and my leg. And he said to me that You may never walk again. Yeah, that was a hard thing to hear at 18 years old. Yeah, that was tough. Okay, I think I'm going to end this video at this point. Okay, thanks for watching. Hope to see you next time.